Good morning, it is Scompy here today. Thought I'd do a video again down by the river. I'm actually actively grounding at the moment. Don't know if you can see this. This is used to be a little waterfall yesterday. But just leaning my entire back without a shirt on against the wall here. Absorbing everything. I see a rafter in the Deschutes River here. It's getting some good CT out there. It's 8 degrees out today. It's cool I caught that. You guys can see it. I'll maybe walk down into the sunlight because stop my grounding and get into the directly into the sunlight, although I was grounding in the sunlight back here on the wall of rocks as you can see. So, come down here to the river. Like I said, here in Bend, Oregon, it's at 3,500 feet right here, altitude. So I'm actually getting UVB 4 out here at 11 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully I'll get up to UVB 5 today, and it's December 25th, Christmas Day. Really sinking into the snow here, trying to work my way down to the river. Here we go. Alright. So what should I mention about Bend here? So Bend, Oregon is pretty famous for the Bigfoot hunting and seeing Yetis everywhere, of course. Actually, yeah, bumper stickers for the most part. As a matter of fact, there's bumper stickers that say "Keep Bend Happy," because I think they know with their 230 days of sun every year here that they're just naturally happy. It's pretty cool that like people say that on bumper stickers. They don't probably even realize the benefits of the sun. So as you can see, the formations, this is all like ancient lava rock formations from about 40,000 years ago. Some of the volcanoes are dormant out here still to this time. So to the south 2 hours is Crater Lake, which is a crazy high mountain lake that's part of the mountain itself. Go online and see in the center of it there's a place called Wizard Island. As a matter of fact, speaking of wizards, I will show you here myself. If you can see my t-shirt, I've got a Gandalf shirt on with the G-A-N-D-A-L-F, which is says science is magic. Of course, the irony is that the aluminum and fluoride of Gandalf are not very good to have in our bodies, are they? So maybe his magic prevents all the damage from the bad elements. We'll just leave it there, not to get too geeky on us. So this is a little bridge where people come along. It's actually, this bridge is supposedly out of service, even though you can still walk on it. Wood planks kind of keeping it in place here. It is actually a fine bridge. Wow, this sunlight feels like I'm in 50-degree Fahrenheit temperature right now, even though it's like 8 or 9 degrees out. It's just beautiful. Not a cloud in the sky, as you can see. So I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about a post that Jack Cruz had on his doctor's website. It was very interesting for people to realize and understand about Gerald Pollack's work. So if you've read The Fourth Phase of Water, you know that I believe it's 270 nanometers and 660, which is IR. 270, of course, is UVC, people think. But is it really UVC? Because Gerald Pollack did a lot of these studies under 270 nanometers, and one would have to assume this is sunlight. So if you're higher altitude like me, and you get this river runoff, this river, the Deschutes, it comes out of it's actually called Deschutes because it's a French word meaning like the chutes or the falls, or like a chute of water coming out of the side of a mountain. And I think the side of the mountain is around 7,000 feet, about maybe 20 miles from here. And then the river makes its way all the way down from about 7,000 feet down to here around 3,500 feet. So if you think about that, and you're at higher altitude, you're going to be getting a little higher maybe potential of into that below 300 nanometer range. So I'm thinking that the water up here is probably naturally more charged in EZ potential than, let's say, water that comes out of a natural spring or whatever that didn't have as much sunlight, but with photoelectric effect still may have a lot of electron density to the water. I'm just thinking along those lines of, wow, you get sunlight charging the water all the way down here, and then I get a shower and bathe and drink from this watershed. Now, I think over time, by the way, here in Bend, they do not fluoridate their water either. I do know that there are, I do know they have been treating their water recently in the last 5 or 6 years. I don't know exactly the details on that, but still, like, this water source is basically pure. It's like a huge attractor for me coming here, living here, just even beyond the sun, like having really good water source as well. So thinking quantumly, this has got to be one of the top 10 places in the country to come if you're concerned, like really low health, you want to like recharge and have the ability to recharge all year round. So as I did measurements with my UV meter, you want to see what I'm getting here, I can switch to the other mode. I brought my UV meter along, the little one. I will be getting a different UV meter. I'm getting UVB3 here, almost up to a 4 again. It's at 82 milliwatts per square meter. Let's see if I can get it higher. I was getting right at UVB4 this morning. It's actually a little less right now. It's interesting how you have a little bit of fluctuation happen. Maybe it's this branch from the tree affecting it. Do not want to back up into the river. Cognizant here, a little bit hyper aware of my surroundings. So, yeah, so all year round people are able to get UVB light. Of course, what, 99% of the population are not aware of it, but 99% of the population around here wear sunglasses 24/7. So they are aware that, oh, a lot of sun all the time. They're not actually educated in different times of the day, different types of wavelengths of light affecting them at different times of the day. And of course with UVB light, I think they're just assuming all UV is bad, because you know, you can go on Wikipedia right now and look up different just like UV light, and you'll see there it will say UVA light has been known to recently to be harmful for this or that reason, and then same with UVB, and it says even right in their description, hilarious, UVB light can cause sunburns, and then right below it, and it's also required and critically important for making vitamin D. So I'm like, wow, okay, I'm glad you put that statement in there at all, but at least you put it underneath the whole damaging part. So the population is just like, they're just living in a different world. They're only thinking maybe in terms of, okay, the last 20-30 years of scientific research. They're not thinking about exposure time, exposure intensity. Like, yeah, getting out into UVB light for 45 minutes for some people is going to burn you. You don't want to do that. But to omit it 100%, you don't want to do that. You want some amount of exposure that's going to charge you up, produce vitamin D. You get out here for 20-30 minutes, acclimate to it if you haven't acclimated up to it. If you start at 5 minutes, then work your way up to 10 minutes, and work your way up to 20 minutes, and do this over a course of weeks or months until your body adapts. It's pretty darn simple, pretty, you know, straightforward, logical if you think about it. Think about, you know, I think about this all the time. If I lived here 200 years ago, I would not have any knowledge of the science, but I would just perceptively know, oh, if I'm out in the sun for too long, it's going to be a problem. I should find some shade. And then go back out into the sun again, and then find some shade, and then go back out into the sun again, then find some shade. I mean, duh. So why don't people get it these days? That the sun is beneficial, you need it for your vitamin D among other things, a lot of other things. So I don't know, it's a little rant here about using the things that are gateways for your health. And if you always have your gateway shut and locked off, literally think of it like there's a gate where there's a bunch of presents on the other side of the gate. If I continuously have that gate closed down and I don't have access to my presents, then all the other things on this side of the gate that are harmful have more of an effect over time, because I'm not getting the things inside the gate that can actually benefit myself. So anyway, just wanted to put that analogy out there because I think that's what I've experienced through my life. I'm 46 years old. In my 20s, I had rock bottom health. I purposely omitted sunlight, had screens in my car, wore sunglasses, put on sunscreen, put on long clothing, just basically eliminated it, even though I was in LA, where I could get like beautiful sunlight all the time. This was in the mid-90s, in the late 90s, when EMF, like radio frequency EMF, was not really that big of a deal, not much of a thing compared to what it is today. And what I was exposing myself to at the time was more magnetic and electrical EMFs, not realizing it, until I did some research recently and discovered around 1998-99, a cell phone tower was put up very close to where I was living and working in Pasadena. And that cell phone tower has been there for a long time. And literally, looking at my locales, I was within several hundred feet of that cell phone tower, and that's where I experienced a lot of my problems, and this was back in the late 90s. So moving my environment, my location, moving my where I was living, the day I moved from my main Pasadena home to my South Pasadena home, which was about only like 3 miles away, my health suddenly rocketed. It like went way up. I didn't experience a lot of the issues I had after that. And what's also kind of cool was that I noticed, like, I could just easily lose weight, keep it off. Things were going great for a while, and then I I switched locales again, and within 6-8 months things plummeted again. So really it has to do with the lack of information of EMFs, knowing what your microenvironments are, your local environments, your bigger environments, the city you're living in, even the county you're living in now. Like the RF is everywhere. Your neighbors have routers. It's, there's smart meters. It's just everywhere, unless you're at a place like this where you have a lot more space between each human to the next human, and you have access to places that have no RF at all, like this. Like, I'm in an area, it's bottomed out. I've checked it multiple times. Maybe, I guess, if a guy comes down on a canoe, I might be able to pick up some RF off his cell phone. But look at here. I just saw this. Right behind me is a huge rock in the sun. Why am I over by the river when I could be leaning against this rock, grounding in the sun at the same time? I don't know. What was I thinking? Here we go. Perfect. Nice cold rock. It was cold for about 2 or 3 seconds. A little bit of willpower gets rid of the cold, because that sunlight just warms things up. Like I said again, it's about 10 degrees out here, and no complaints, because it's about adaptation. You need to adapt to the sun itself, adapt to your cold environments. Over time, your body acclimates and adjusts. It takes a while though. You don't want to like dive into it and go, oh, I'm gonna go all gung-ho and I'm gonna just walk out into 10 degrees Fahrenheit without a shirt on and everything will be fine, you know? Well, no, like warm up to it slowly, and then you've you know, over time you build the brown fat. You know, use breathing techniques, Wim Hof. I have to do that a lot here in Bend now. Like, if I don't use the breathing techniques, I don't hydrate before I come out here, I put more stress on the body. Why would I do that? You know, do the right things. Like, I do see a lot of people talking about CT all the time, and they're like constantly trying to do the right, thinking they're doing the right thing with the cold, but they're not prepping themselves maybe enough for it, or they're not thinking about hydrating enough for the CT. Maybe they're out in the cold too long, like hours and hours and hours. Like, I'm not one, I like base it on how I feel. If I feel like I'm getting too much sun, I get out of the sun. If I feel like I'm getting too cold, I get out of the cold. So, like, it's great to not omit the cold. It's great not to omit the sun, but also know your limits, know your balance. Just make it a daily thing. Come out here on a daily basis. Make it a daily thing. It only takes, like, I'm going to be out here today maybe 40-50 minutes, because getting way better UVB light, and then I will wrap it up and go spend more time with the family, and then I might come back later for an afternoon walk again. Just kind of roll things in for the day, take some breaks. Days you can get out more, great. I mean, it's wonderful. Wow, I feel like it's like 60 degrees out now to me. Even though I'm against this rock, that sunlight, I wonder if the sun, because it's probably more closer to 11:30 now. Just gonna check on my meter. Yeah, I'm still getting about the same range. Believe it or not, right on the cusp of UVB4. And I don't know, what else should I talk about? Talked about a little about Gerald Pollack in this video, about how most people think it's UVB or it's UVC light and not UVB light. But we know the sun filters UVC out, so why are we getting 270 then on the surface if all the websites are saying Earth, the atmosphere filters out UVC? It's kind of interesting. So that's why I am buying a UVA UVB meter, to actually check out. I want to get a higher quality meter. I'm going to probably put out a few $100s at least to get one where I can see the nanometers and see what I'm actually getting from the sunlight, and seeing what my cutoff ranges are. I want to dive deeper into this, because now that I'm at higher altitude, I suspect I should be getting, you know, lower nanometer numbers, like, you know, 270, 260, maybe even down in the 250s. I'd be curious to see how much UVB to UVC cusp happens, like where that, like, delineation is. So, I'm gonna, since I want to show you here, I'm gonna zoom in to this giant river rock wall. Some guy's got his house on the top of it. I do notice here in Bend as well, some of these older houses, a lot of them are built as one-story houses. And I just want to say that was one consideration when I moved here, was to find a house first that had a lot of skylights or lights in it, but secondly, a house that was fully on the first floor, grounded very close to the earth in these rocks. That was also a huge consideration, and I happened to score. I mean, I just found a house that had both those elements and a lot more better elements, like the access to this river, for one, access to, you know, all these grounding rocks wherever I go. I get a lot of privacy, which is great, so I can, you know, ground here and not have people wonder why this guy's just sitting here without a shirt on next to a rock in the sunlight. Not really, you know, raising a red flag about maybe that guy shouldn't be there or whatever, you know, think about those things. So another huge boon I got, which was weird, was I mentioned this on the site in another long message, was that the previous homeowners have deer coming through the yard all the time. So I guess they put out water and food for the deer, and they had a CT tub, like a 100-gallon tub in the backyard that they just left there. So now I can use it to CT. I'm going to use it all the time in the spring and the summer. I can get into that thing, it's metal, ground myself in it in the sunlight and get CT that way as well. When I don't have all this snow accessible. So another consideration of the house, of course, was the RF in the area. Now, on occasion, I do get a little bit of an RF measurement. It's like tiny. It's like sometimes up to 0.002 or 0.00 even 5 milliwatts per square meter. Still, that's hardly anything, but I get it from time to time when I have a car pass along a road that's within about maybe 70-80 feet away from my house. And that's just, you know, typical person, you know, with their cell phone on, and it just pings a tower. They're probably not even talking on it or messaging or even using it. It's just constant 24/7 connection. And that's the world we are approaching, is not just cell phones 24/7 connecting, but every gadget under the sun. That's what they want to do. Keep that in mind. Alright, it's been a long video, just a long rambling talk of nonsensical, almost nonsensical stuff if you don't know the quantum. Or some good information if you've been paying attention, I guess. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.